25% say loud and clear. That's a quarter. And then another quarter says, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, that was the same. Like 60% on Instagram were saying they don't really think the management has articulated their vision strongly. Maybe they haven't strongly. I think maybe they haven't even articulated it. I think they've presented it, and most fans have been like, yeah, I don't think so. Or like, that doesn't inspire much confidence. That's where I would be at.
All right, on today's show, The Athletic has released their annual, what do we call this? Fan base report cards.
Yeah, front office confidence rankings. It's something we like to look at every kind of year. I think it's a good check-in with how the fans are feeling about their team's management.
So we'll go through the results. We'll go through a little bit of the synopsis from The Athletic, and then you and I both pulled the fan base on Twitter and Instagram. I think you got some good results there. So we'll go through some of those, the real fan base we pulled. And then we'll see where everybody's confidence levels are at with regards to the front office management in a whole host of different categories. You want to get started? You want to start at the top, roster building?
Yeah. So the Athletic has the Flames ranked 18th. So what they do is they poll the public. Like if you're a subscriber, you can vote on other teams, how you're feeling about other teams, and then the fans of that team can also vote. So they have the Flames ranked for the second consecutive year, 18th overall. For reference, the Florida Panthers are far and away number one, with like A+ across the board. Dallas is number 2.
Understandable. Carolina
number 3. Tampa Bay number 4. Montreal number 5. Flames are right in the middle, as usual. That's our wheelhouse. Mm-hmm. Just about everything. So they throw out some parameters in which you can grade the team. The first one being roster building. So the fan base has, from The Athletic, ranking the Flames at B-. B- in terms of roster building.
And it's funny, notably, I don't know, is this the same for all teams? But historically, every time we go through one of these, the public's view and rating on all these categories always seems to be lower than the actual fan base. I don't know if is that.
Yeah, that rings pretty true. Yeah, I think across the board, the public was ranking the Flames in like a C, the C range, or the fan base was more in the B range for most things. So the public perception of the Flames, or the perception from people who aren't fans of the team, is lower than people who are fans of the team.
What do you think is more accurate?
Well, I think it's kind of telling because some of the comments were like, nobody really knows what the Flames are doing. Like, what is their direction? And I think that's pretty true. I kind of tend to lean, as you go parameter by parameter, whether it's roster building or cap management or what they're doing in the draft, like I tend to lean towards the fan base opinion more so. But I can understand that maybe if you're not watching the Flames day in, day out, you look at that team and be like, are they rebuilding? Are they retooling? Are they shoving a candy apple up their butthole? What are these guys doing? They're out of the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. They're trading guys. They almost make the playoffs, So I can understand why people from the outside don't really know what the hell's going on.
So the roster building, the public voted, they ranked the Calgary Flames at a C, which is good for 20th in the league. The fan base, however, said B-, good for 16th in the league.
Yeah. So take from that what you will, right in the middle there.
Now, do you want to interject some of our own polls as one by one, or you want to do it after? How do you want to do it?
I think we can do it after, because I think this is a good little preamble, and then we'll get into, like we said, the real fans. Although there's a lot of crossover. There are a lot of our fans who would vote on this and give their opinion. And I think that's borne out in the results as well. So I think we'll just rip through this, and then we'll go through what our audience is thinking.
So next category, cap management, the public ranked the Flames a C+, 18th in the league, and the fan base B-, again, 14th in the league. Drafting and development, C+ from the public, 17th in the league. B+.
The C+ on the drafting and developing from the public strikes me as a bit odd, because I think it's been pretty unanimous over the last 2 drafts. At least the Flames have done a really good job.
If you're looking at the fan base voting as a whole, this is the highest grade. So categories. The fan base feels like like Connie and management. The best thing they've been doing in the last few years is drafting and developing.
Yeah.
B plus, which ranks them 7th in the league. This I have a tendency, I think, to agree that I think 7th overall is actually a pretty fair measurement for the Flames in this category.
Yeah, I agree.
Trading public, a C. The fan base, a C plus.
Yeah, it's been hit or miss. We went over a few of the trades a couple weeks ago, and yeah, it's the general consensus.
Free agency, the public a C, the fan base a C plus, just a little bit higher. This is an interesting one. Vision, the public ranked a C, and the fan base said B minus. And I feel like you kind of alluded to this, but those of us that follow this team on a daily basis, we hear all the press conferences, we look at everything through a microscopic lens. We might feel a little bit more confident in the overall communication and deployment of the visions thus far. B plus, what would you rank the vision?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of in a B minus. I'm not. It's kind of murky. I agree with that. I agree with it being kind of murky. Well, I know what the vision is, kind of. I still don't think it's been explicitly, forthrightly expressed to the fan base necessarily, or even acted on. So yeah, I'd say C plus B minus is actually right in the range of what my perception is.
They total it all up. The public total averages out as a C. The Flames are doing basic front office is getting a C rank, and from the fan base side of things, a B minus. And I kind of agree with this B minus. It's one of those things where we've started that rebuild chapter, retool, retweak, whatever you want to call it. Dustin Wolf has really changed the trajectory and timeline on things. Potentially, we'll see how it all plays out in the upcoming seasons. But yeah, I would say Connie. I think we gave Connie a B minus, didn't we, when we went through all our rankings?
Yeah, I think that's about accurate. And I mean, when you look at some of the comments submitted from fans from this article, I think a lot of it does kind of ring true, and it's the stuff you'd expect, right? Like understanding that the direction might be coming from above the GM, i.e., ownership pushing
a specific mandate,
feeling like the team doesn't have any direction, because they didn't utilize cap space or take on short-term bad contracts to acquire,
get ahead of some of these assets. Like even Rasmus Anderson, we're doing this whole thing again.
Yeah, didn't trade Anderson, keeping some of the veterans, still pushing for the playoffs, not getting top 10 picks. It is, I think that is the biggest concern amongst the fan base. It's kind of like, well, drafting has been a lot better. Drafting has been a huge positive, but they can't commit to a direction really one way or the other, and they're kind of still being tugged in two different directions is the kind of overall sense you get from the fan base, which, I think that's totally bang on.
Yeah, I mean, the other big half of that drafting is the development aspect. And if your roster is chock full of vets year after year, and you're not really getting a good look at these young guys, and they're not really getting a chance to develop in the NHL, and I mean, it's kind of seen that in the past.
So. Well, I think it just, this was my thing with Tree. Like, what is to me, it always comes back to vision and what's the goal and how are you going to get there? And, I try not to be too cynical about things, even though that's my nature. But, you look at what is the end goal here and how are you going to get there? And that's why I'm always just kind of like, okay, can we be a little more aggressive? Because, I'm sitting here looking at Dustin Wolf as a player you should build around. We all realize Dustin Wolf is the star of this team. We all realize what we have in him. The Flames get an A+ in drafting him, developing him, bringing him to the organization. I feel like now that we have that player, there needs to be a more concrete plan of like building around him, And yeah, sure, they're drafting well. They're getting some good kids in these drafts, but it's like, to me, it's kind of always like, okay, like let's hurry it up here. Like that was always kind of my thing when the Kachuk Gaudreau era team. It was like there was a lot of don't dicking around. It was like, well, we'll see what happens this year and we'll kind of go from there. It's like, no, like fucking like commit to something, get working on it, because these timelines aren't finite and you don't have 20 fucking years to figure this out. So I think that's where a lot of the fans are at, is that they really like the drafting. They feel like we have a stud in Wolf, but we're just a little bit not even we're just a little bit we're not super confident yet in where this team is going to be in 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years.
That makes sense. The after the rankings, they have a little change from last year to this year. The public as a whole is 30% more confident as a whole in management. 21% is less confident. But this is the big one here. The fan base, 59% of the fan base has more confidence than they did at this point last year, and only 9% has less. So I think as a whole, the fan base, you're reading into this, even with interactions online and where we sit, we're kind of at a point where we're believing in Connie until he proves us otherwise. And so the belief is there, the support's there, we're backing him in his decisions. You know, he hasn't made any massive blunders to this point. It seems like incremental progress with a little bit of confusion on, like you said, really leaning into that rebuild. It's kind of a drawn out. We're not really sure if it's a rebuild, retool, whatever the hell it is. But as a whole, based on last season and some of the development on some of these young guys and what we got in the pipeline coming up, and a potential absolute stud in Zane Prek next season, seems like confidence is more leaning on the side of, yeah, we're giving Connie the benefit of the doubt for now.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think there is, like, I don't know, maybe it's unfair to say the Flames like haven't articulated their vision or don't have a vision. I think it's more because he's explained, right? He said, we're not going to tear it down. They've told us that. They're not going to do a full-fledged rebuild. He's called it a retool on the fly. So I don't think the criticism is even necessarily that they don't have a vision. It's that we're not.
Is it the right vision?
Yeah, we're not totally behind that vision yet because we've had that peddled to us in the past. We're not sure if that's really something that can work. So I think that's more the criticism and the concern from the fan base, more so than, well, they haven't told us what they're doing. They have told us what they're doing. It's just what they're doing, and maybe doesn't inspire as much confidence as you would hope.
Okay, so let's get into some of the individual categories that you were pulling the fan base on. What do you want to start with?
All right, so I had roster building first. Same kind of categories as the Athletic went through. So I had very confident, somewhat confident, not confident, Jay Feaster level confident. We are cooked. So this had almost 1,800 votes. Most of the fan base is in the somewhat confident category in terms of how the Flames are building their roster. 16% in the very confident, 16% in the not confident, 66% of the fan base is in the somewhat confident category.
And I did a similar poll on Twitter and similar results. I got 60% of the fan base coming in somewhat confident.
Yeah.
23 very, 12 not, 5% Jay Feaster level confident.
Well, that's Twitter. That's Twitter. You're getting the green M&Ms guys who are
yes, it's chock full of those these days. Adam,
although
if you're listening.
It is, dude.
Adam
Twitter's,
always appreciates a shutout.
Yeah, it is fucking wild. I just I love the Twitter war on Flames Twitter now. It's this fucking endless battle between like the Gen Z green M&M kids and like the boomers who like it's just a heavyweight till every day. It's just these boomers who are like, back in '89, the guys were best friends and all we need to do is create a winning culture. And then it's like the green M&M kids who are like, every time they're like tagging Rasmus Anderson and being like, you need to be traded. You suck. It's just like, it's a immovable object, meaning an unstoppable force. It's great entertainment. So I always get a kick out of that. The next one, and I mean, roster building, I feel like that's just, it's some of these categories are maybe a little bit not even applicable at the team building stage the Flames are at. Yeah. I think maybe in 2 to 3 years, we'll have a more clear view on how we're feeling about how Craig is constructing the roster as a whole.
But it also speaks to a lot of the UFAs he traded away in the last two
Yeah.
seasons, and even though he's calling it a retool, his actions have backed up what he's some of the changes he's been talking about, which making this team younger and basically committing to the retool process with dealing with some of those major assets. So
yeah, exactly. All right, next on my list I had here was salary cap management. Similar results. Although more people were more favorable to the salary cap management. 32% very confident, 49% confident, 16% not confident, and then you had 2% in the Brad Living Pizza Coma not confident category. So kind of similar. Most people are feeling, somewhat confident in how Conroy's managed the cap. I think, like we mentioned previously, I think maybe some of the trepidation about that has been, or the disappointment around that has been the fact they haven't really weaponized much cap space. They haven't aggressively sought out deals where they've been able to use their cap space. I mean, they've done it a little bit. They've retained in deals, which is nice, but you've seen other teams do that to their benefit and advantage, and the Flames haven't really done that. I mean, same flip of the coin though. Like, he's not out there blowing his wad, right? Like,
yep.
I think I'm super happy with the fact he hasn't done anything this offseason. He absolutely could have. He could have sold out. Hey, we missed the playoffs we had more points.
We're going to free agency. We're spending up to the cap. Yeah, we're going for it.
Yeah, we had 2 less points than the Stanley Cup champion. Like, we are right there. We can, if we just sign this guy, and they didn't do that. So I think that inspires a lot of confidence. So similar feeling. Most people are pretty happy with what they're doing on the free agent, on the salary cap front.
Would you give it a B plus or sorry, B minus?
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Okay.
Drafting and developing. Obviously, this is where everybody thinks the Flames are nailing it. 61%, very confident. 34%, somewhat confident. 4% not confident. And we got some trolls, I think, maybe here. Maybe some
Oilers fans coming.
Oilers fans coming in here. Should I out these people? Because I can see you on here. There's 41 of you here. No, I won't do that. But I think we can all agree this is where the Flames have made huge strides under Craig Conroy. Maybe the Honzek pick notwithstanding, but that's still, we'll wait and see. Had a great preseason. If he can put on some, he's working out with Pospisil again. We'll see where he's at. Trading.
Hold on, I just want to interject in there. I also on the Twitter results, same thing. The majority of people are very confident. That's 63%. 31% confident. I got 0% in the Daryl Sutter drafting Chris Chucko level of confidence. Only 6% not confident. So yeah, across the board, this is where people are most happy with.
Yep. And again, getting back to the Flames not telling us, like, maybe you're frustrated with the lack of the direction. That's what Conroy said outright on his first day. I was like, we are going to build this team through the draft. Now we might have some disagreements on where they should be trying to pick, but you know what? He told us that's what they were going to do. That's what they've been doing. So trading, this is where maybe some people have some problems. 6% very confident, 48% confident, 44% are not confident. That's the Hannafin for nothing trade effect. And 1% Craig Button level, not confident, we're cooked. So, like we talked about a few weeks ago when we went over the trades, there have been some misses. So I can understand why some people maybe are starting to feel a little bit about the trades.
And then you got some still pending, question marks. How's the Frost Farabee trade going to actually end up? We don't know. It's not looking like it was the greatest trade at the moment, but there's still time. On Twitter,
nail a Rasmus Anderson trade, and we'll all be feeling good.
What did Twitter say for trading? I don't have it in front of me at the moment. Let's go to the next one. I'll come back to trading on Twitter.
Asset management is the next one. I think this, similarly follows the trade side of things. Is probably bundled in there. I added this one as a separate category because I do think it is pertinent and topical, because it is something we talk a lot about, and is mostly pertaining to trades. But 7% very confident in the Flames assets management, 48% confident. I left out the somewhat confident. I got sick of typing somewhat. And 39% not confident. 5% shove a stick up my ass. We are cooked, not confident. So, I think that's just probably the lingering effect of, maybe what's going on with Anderson, maybe not aggressively pursuing some moves for other veterans. So, yeah, I would be somewhere between somewhat confident and not confident, depending on the day. So,
Yeah, like you said, there's been a few instances where we probably lessened our return by waiting too long. And again, that kind of ties in with execution of vision too. So
yeah.
the trading results on Twitter were similar to Instagram. Confident was 43%, only 13% very confident, 37% not confident. I got 7% Greg Button level confidence. So
yeah. Well, and I mean, it's true because I just think, and maybe it's not true. Maybe it's.
But it's Connie, he's just toying around with the edges right now when
Yeah.
it comes to trades. He's not trying to do anything,
Yeah.
and I kind of like that. He's not trying to make an absolute blockbuster trade and make this team good now. So, I mean, he wants to be active. He wants to make minor increments in making this roster better. So he hasn't really done anything major.
Yeah.
I don't know. He hasn't really done a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, I think I get pulled in the direction of like, what are you doing? Start being more aggressive. But it's kind of like a balance between being patient and like being fucking crazy and like going batshit nuts. It's like you have to be patient, like you said, that incremental approach. But at the same time, it's like you said, there have been some opportunities to maybe move some guys or do some interesting things that could help you get more picks that maybe they haven't been doing. So I understand why people can be frustrated with that.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365. Every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat-trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, an official partner of the NHL. Download the Bet365 app and use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. All right, free agency next.
Free agency, again, maybe one of these ones that isn't as applicable currently. But I mean, again, like I said, you're not out there blowing your wad on these guys. You're not out there going, almost made the playoffs. Let's go sign James Neal. This was actually kind of surprising to me. So our fan base, again, it was about like 1,700, 1,800 votes. Overwhelmingly, almost more half were not confident. So 8% very confident. 35% confident, 50% not confident, 6% James Neal signing level, not confident. It's kind of that one surprised me a little bit. I got to be honest.
The confident category won in my poll, 39%, 27% not confident, 21% very confident, 13 James Neal level.
Yeah, because
is that just people wanting him to utilize free agency more and he's not, or?
Well, I would say based on the people who listen to our show, I'd say not. Maybe it's a not trading guys thing. I'm not sure what that is because, like I said, I've been very happy. Even some of the UFA moves he has tried to make, I think like trying to sign Mantha, like that looked like it was going to be a nice little signing until he got hurt. So maybe it's a contract thing.
PTOs, Tyson Berry.
Maybe it's the army of plugs. Maybe it's a contract thing. Maybe people aren't thrilled about like the ball contract. Maybe the people are thinking contract wise. Maybe the Sharangovich extension. Maybe that's kind of what they're thinking. Maybe they're just thinking of contracts in a whole, like not getting Zary done maybe as expeditiously as we'd like. I'm not sure. In any case, that one kind of surprised me because that to me has been the takeaway of the one thing I've been really happy about this summer is that he's not out there trying to make the playoffs, blowing his wad on dumb free agents.
Yeah.
So this one is the most important one to me, and that's vision. So we have 19% very confident, 45% confident, 22% not confident, 14% are in the 16th overall blinders forever. We are cooked, not confident level. So
yeah, the Twitter results were pretty even across the board. I had 21% in 18th overall forever. That's almost a quarter of the fan base that have next to no confidence in the vision. The winning category was confident with 33%, very confident 27%, not confident 19%.
Yeah, and I think that's because the vision thing is the most important to us and is the thing that we're the most concerned about. Because, like, honestly, you can do well across all these other categories. If you don't have the vision, you're kind of fucked.
You know, with what Connie has communicated to the fan base and also his actions, I don't understand how someone could be in either the very confident category or the 18th overall category at this point. I'm probably somewhere in the fence between confident and not confident, leaning towards confident, just giving Connie the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like you said, he hasn't really made any huge errors or mistakes to take away that confidence. So it's kind of like a waiting game, right? Just to see what else he does in the next two to three seasons.
Well, and that's why, this was what I always was calling out when Tree Living was in charge, is that there wasn't a staircase to get to where you wanted to go. It was just kind of like, well, we're going to see what happens at the end of the year. Like, no matter what stage of team building.
When the bodies are on the tarmac, that's when we'll start dealing with how the season went. Okay.
Exactly. So so that's when you kind of get a little bit, to me, like I get some alarm bells going off when it's like you hear things like, well, we want to reward the guys for making a playoff, or we want to do this. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do this too. We don't want to disturb this. We don't want to disturb that. It's like your goal, your North Star, nothing should stop you from trying to get there. So, and like I said earlier, I don't even think it's the vision hasn't been communicated. It's just that we're not totally sold yet. So,
I mean, the second part of this poll would be, has management articulated their vision strongly to the fan base?
Yeah.
The majority on Twitter says not really. 50% of fans say not really. 25% say loud and clear. That's a quarter. And then another quarter says, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, that was the same. Like 60% on Instagram were saying they don't really think the management has articulated their vision strongly. Maybe they haven't strongly. I think maybe they haven't even articulated it. I think they've presented it, and most fans have been like, yeah, I don't think so. Or like, that doesn't inspire much confidence. That's where I would be at. Because yeah, I'm frustrated the Flames aren't more aggressive in trying to be a finish top 10. But at the same time, see, the show is just me going back and forth because, like, dude, there's no way. You cannot look at that team last year and tell me Craig Conroy did not anticipate picking in the top 10. Like, you're fucking kidding. You are fucking kidding yourself. Look at that blue line.
Well, dude,
there's no way.
The only category that prevented this team from finishing bottom 10 was having that rookie goalie sensation.
Exactly.
And again, that speaks to him predicting this team would finish bottom 10, maybe bottom 5. We're rolling with the rookie goaltender this season.
Yeah. So that's what I just kind of always come back to. It's like, I feel like if you put truth serum in him, that was his goal last year. And he's kind of rolling it again, the same roster this year, right?
Yep.
And we'll see. And it's like, okay, if you trade Anderson and maybe trade Kadri, does that get you to that? Is that enough? I'm just saying, I think Conroy does. You can't tell me he wasn't trying to pick in the top 10 last year. So,
all right. So, coming down to the last little categories here. You got a couple more, or are you down to the last one?
I got it. Well, that was it in terms of like how you're feeling about different parameters. So overall, then I just polled everybody and asked if you're feeling more or less confident. 35% saying more confident, 49% said they're the same, they're still confident, 12% say they're less confident, 4% say they are the same, they are still skeptical. So most people are still, I think where we're at, which is like, yeah, I think we're still kind of behind what Connie's doing.
Yeah.
But
Twitter was the same, 42% were still the same confidence, 24% were more.
Yeah.
27 less, 7 still skeptical.
So to get some more,
I would say the polls on the fan bases on Twitter and Instagram are very similar across the board. Everybody's kind of feeling the same way. It seems like overall, it kind of comes to this like, well, we'll see. It's almost like we'll wait and see exactly what happens the next, 2 to 3 seasons. But we're all kind of hopeful at this point.
Yeah, and I was just asking people for their input on like what gives you the most confidence, or is the most positive aspect of what the Flames are building right now, or about the direction of the team? And most of it was just like we have Parekh and Wolf. We have those 2 studs that we can build around. The drafting, some nice comments about how he's not Boston Pizza Jr. Craig's not Boston Pizza Jr. and you can actually trust the guy. I did see a lot of people saying like the fact that they didn't do any free agent signings this offseason. And so far, like the Coronado contract, they got ahead of that one. It looks like hopefully they're going to get Zary at least signed here. So most people
Dustin Wolf, they have to have him signed before the 15th of September if he wants a max term. Is that how that understood?
I think if he wants like 8 years, because the CBA is going to change. I think that's how it goes. But essentially most people are super stoked because, we have Wolf. I've read some comments I can't share on here at all. You people are fucking nuts. You're more crazy than I am. But the overwhelming positivity is coming from the drafting and coming from Dustin Wolf. Dustin Wolf is our fucking beacon of light, dude. No pressure, Dustin. You just have the whole city on your back here.
He likes the pressure.
Yeah, dude.
He takes that pressure, eats it for breakfast, just like Shooter was eating pieces of shit for breakfast.
He takes that. He eats it for breakfast and shits out fucking gold bricks. I wanted to read. There was I'm gonna pull this up here. Yeah, this dude, I love this shit. So the Flames, and again, he wasn't named to the Team USA Olympic tryout roster. CalgaryFlames.com, good article. Dustin Wolf, I have a chip on my shoulder. Dustin Wolf looks to lead the Flames to the playoffs. Fuck yes.
Fuck yes.
Yes, Dustin Wolf. He's just like, dude, he's the guy. Like, he's the fucking guy. Another thing he said, I think he was on with the guys on 960 a couple weeks ago. And this is a kid who just had one of the best rookie goaltending campaigns we've seen in years. Certainly with this franchise, it's only akin to Mike Vernon. And they're asking him, oh, how great. Like, you must be feeling pretty good. Like, the success of the team, your success. What does Dustin Wolf say? I haven't proven shit. Dustin Wolf says his mindset go into the next season. I haven't proven anything. What you did in the past doesn't matter. That's our fucking guy right there, dude.
Super excited to see what type of a sophomore season Dustin Wolf puts together this upcoming season.
That's our fucking guy right there.
Another thing to wrap things up on, unless you got some more stuff you got some more things?
Well, I just also did ask what's the biggest concern with the direction of the team. And you know what? Some of the similar things you hear, I think one of the big ones you heard, I just scrolling through what people were saying, no number one center. Maybe Cole Reschke can be that, but I think that's a question I've asked. If this is the vision, you're just going to build through the draft and still kind of be competitive. Like, how are you going to get a number one center? I think that's a very fair concern to have.
Yeah. And
just maybe overall no elite forward talent. Yeah, I think that's fair. And then just the asset management was the other kind of big one. Is like, hey, they're kind of fumbling with Anderson. What are they're keeping some of these old guys because they want a good dressing room and stuff like that. So overwhelmingly, those were the two things that I saw being the biggest concern with the direction of the team.
They've done a great job drafting a good potential supporting cast. I mean, like Bader said, with a little bit more luck and some more shrewd management, they could put together a pretty solid team here in the coming seasons.
Yeah, and I think that's, you know what, because we're always having this endless goddamn debate. Should they tank? Should they not tank? I mean, whatever. They have two players who you can build around them. That I think just the question is, how do we build around them? So that's where we're at. Final poll question, because they're demolishing the Saddle Dome in 2027. Do you want to die by being crushed under the rubble of the Saddle Dome? 86% of you said obviously. 14% of you said no, I'm a pussy ass bitch. What's wrong with you people? You call yourself Flames fans? Wow. Over 100 people said no, I'm a pussy ass bitch.
I keep seeing posts of the development of the new building. That'll be exciting to go see a game there.
Yeah, it's gonna be sweet because they're like, oh, like the dome, like, dude. Anytime you're at the Saddle Dome, you're just reminded, like, this thing. What a fucking piece of shit, eh?
It's classic, it's iconic, but it is fucking time.
It's time to go.
Hey, buddies, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.